Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Within Warzone right now, we obviously have seen a couple of meta updates go out over the course of the past couple of days, and with it, we've seen some interesting changes specifically to one close range meta option that, in a way, the gun itself is not like crazy overpowered super dominant, but it is technically broken, and it's broken in a way that's actually benefiting players right now for whatever reason. And so today we are breaking down what exactly this new broken close range meta is and if it's actually worth running. So you may recall that back earlier on this week we saw this one-off weapons update specifically to address the Lockwood MK2, but with the aftermarket part, the Warden's conversion kit, aka the model 1887s, and they did some really interesting adjustments with this. They ended up actually buffing its near to mid damage, and then also its near to mid damage range as well, which is pretty important. Its mid damage range was also buffed, but they did end up actually nerfing some of the hip fire. So this is obviously a hip fire only shotgun, but they made the damage better at certain ranges, but made the hip fire worse. And so this got people thinking, okay, it was already a decent shotgun. How exactly is this going to impact it? Well, there's some very weird things going on with this in game. So we are here on Goomie's Twitter. If you guys are unfamiliar, shout out to Goomie. I'm gonna leave a link to his channel in the description below. This guy is the shotgun guru for Warzone. He's got all the shotgun stats. So if that's your playstyle, that's what you enjoy using, he's the channel to go to and check out because he's always covering this stuff. And he's got the damage stats here, which are really interesting. So he goes, here's what the Jack Wardens are capable of now in Warzone. They didn't mention the other damage ranges getting buffed, but holy moly, they sure buffed it. Keep in mind, the spread was nerfed. These numbers are very unlikely at anything past 8 meters, but 8 meters is prime headshot territory. Headshots are also extremely unlikely and probably won't happen in the vast majority of engagements, but there is a crazy thing going on with the headshots. But here's the damage stats that we have for it just in general. Like Goomie says, 8.1 meters and closer is really all we care about. Anything beyond that is irrelevant information for a shotgun. If you're fighting at 20 meters with a shotty, I hope you enjoy watching kill cams because that's what you're going to be spending most of your time doing. But with this 240 health, and I'll even go ahead and hide the face cam so you can see the general TTK stats because those are important to note. But first damage range 4 meters, you can deal anywhere between 120 or 240 max technically when you're hitting the vast majority of your pellets on the body in various different locations. Obviously with the spread you could hit a little bit of limb, a little bit of torso, some neck, maybe some head in there too. Out to 8.1 meters, that damage only drops off a very minor amount, and technically the TTK is still going to be roughly 631, and that's the number that we really want to pay attention to just outright. However, like I said, things are a little bit weird, and that's where we go into Goomie's newest tweet from today, which is actually very conveniently timed because I was already kind of planning on talking about this and saying, okay, is this actually a close range meta? Is it more of a placebo because maybe you got some headshots in a gunfight? But here's what Goomie says as of this morning. So more digging to confirm and talking with some folks, it seems like to me that these numbers are actually bugged. So technically, yes, this gun is broken. Sim is showing what the numbers should be, but in game there is something causing the numbers to be even higher. So the gun is actually better than what it should be, but we don't really know why. And Sim, keep in mind, is data mining the direct stats from the files. These numbers are accurate in game, at least in plunders, so these will likely get fixed at some point. So if you're looking to use it, technically now is the go-to time that you're going to want to be using it. But for now, I guess enjoy it. It's not super consistent, but it should make it better until it's fixed. So these numbers that we just talked about, the 631 TTK, the damage ranges here, are technically not fully accurate. It's actually broken in some way. We don't really know as mentioned, but it's broken to be slightly better. So comparing that 631 TTK, or what could be slightly better, let's say anywhere between 600 and 631, just as a more broad, I guess, comparison, let's see how this would work against other subs. So if we go to true game data and we put in a handful of our top tier SMGs, mainly being the Striker 9, the Wasp 9, obviously the base Striker. So if we go through and you look at the stats for this, 300 health, obviously combination shot TTK. If we pay attention to the first damage range here, you're going to see that at 6 meters, right in the area where this is going to be the most prime to use, obviously with the Wardens, you can see we're looking at a 630 TTK with the Striker 9, basically right on par with the Wardens here. 651 at the base Striker, 654. Keep in mind, this is not going to be the exact number every single time you're fighting because this is combination shots. You might get an extra headshot, and that makes the TTK crazy fast on one of these. You might get an extra limb shot, loadout, which is going to slow it down with pretty much everything but the striker here. But with that, even, you know, out to their initial damage ranges of 12 for a lot of these subs, 630, 651, 654. So that warden setup, and with the just general way that it feels right now and it plays, is actually right there, exactly on par with the other true meta close range options now. But there's also even more that goes into it that makes it just probably the most unique weapon we have in the game, because it at one point can be so broken in one gunfight, but then be so mortal and so average in the next gunfight. So let's jump into the actual game, talk about some setups here, and explain why exactly this weapon is quite literally so hit or miss. And as we do so, by the way, if you enjoy this video, do me a favor and drop a like on it. It is always really appreciated. And if you are new to the channel or you simply have not subscribed yet, this is your one-stop shop for all things going on in COD. So feel free to hit that subscribe button to guarantee you are always up to date. So obviously for our loadout here, yes, we are initially starting with the Lockwood MK2, which is obviously very weird, but switching it over into the conversion kit here with the Jack Wardens is what the step one of this general setup is. And as you can see, it's completely changing the gun entirely. Now, you'll notice I throw this on and boy, we don't have many options. So we cannot use a stock just behind the face cam here. You cannot use a comb. You cannot use a lever on this. You cannot use a guard. You cannot use an underbarrel, and you cannot use a basic barrel. You would be able to use an optic here. Like, what if we threw on the 2.5 times eagle eye? You go in and, oh, that's right. This is akimbo. It doesn't do anything. There's no point in using an optic. You could throw one on there for fun and, you know, it is what it is, but there's no actual point in running that. You could use a laser, and I probably would recommend using a laser, but what you want to do here is very different from other shotguns. The spread on this thing is so tight, and the spread is so important that sometimes it's better to have a larger spread here to make sure you're hitting more of the torso, upper torso, and head than one singular area, because that could be a big difference of whether or not you're getting a potential one shot or a potential, you know, 2 or 3 shot, or I say one shot, you're firing both weapons at the same time. But there's a couple lasers you might want to focus on here. As far as hip fire spread goes, if you want the tightest spread, so you're going to be the most accurate, then the Verdant hook would be the go-to option here. It's also going to help out that sprint to fire even more, get it down to 31 milliseconds, which is absolutely insane. That's a crazy fast sprint to fire. But with this, if you're using this, you specifically basically want to be going for as many headshots as you can, because with the way the spread works on here, if you're hitting purely headshots, you can actually get that one shot knock or one click of both guns out to like 8 meters, as Goomie mentioned, which is what would make this the most dominant close range gun. But you have to be hitting headshots. If you start to mix in the body shots there, that's where it goes away from that, and it's going to be you know, the second firing of both weapons there. So that's really important. It quite literally is a hit or miss. If you're going for the one shot, you get all headshots, you're good. That player is going to be raging. You don't hit you know, all headshots, you hit something on the torso, something on the limbs there, then it's not going to be that. So if you want that super accurate spread there, Verdant hook would be an option. Ammo here, none of this is going to be worthwhile here. The slugs are going to obviously change your damage a lot, but you're only getting one shot, and it's hip fire. It's not going to be accurate enough. If you miss, you're donezo, not worth using. The incendiary knocks down the damage and the range way too much. Then the gauge ball is just not going to be good. While it does look good here statistically, it is going to end up changing the damage profile some, even though it doesn't reflect there in the actual advanced stats. So you don't want to be using any ammo. Your last option here would be using a muzzle, and there certainly are some options here in terms of general chokes and whatnot. You could use something like a Bryson choke whenever you go through the 19 different options here to again help out with that overall spread to make it more accurate. If you're straight up just trying to get the one shot knocks, then yes, you might want to use that choke to fully improve that that accuracy there. Something like Bryson improved would also maybe extend that range out some, but for the purely one shot headshot broken element of this, you'd probably want to be going for one of these two options here, and then that's your total setup. Right now, if you want to play the more consistent battle here, meaning you're not going to have the super tight spread, but it's going to be easier to probably shoot each gun twice and get that full knock rather than gamble on the one shot headshot, then quite frankly, you'd just be wanting to use maybe something like the laser. I think the Scarlet Cylindrical is also decent because the insane stats that it brings with the hip fire minimum, and I think Goomie also talked about this one a little bit before too. So certainly an option there, but it also hurts your accuracy when you're moving some. So this is a very strange weapon where quite frankly, you could run simply this, with only the Warden's conversion kit on here, and it would work. And it would be a very dominant close range option, having TTKs similar to that of a lot of the meta SMGs. You could throw on just simply one laser if you wanted to. You could do the mix and match with one laser, one muzzle, but that's really all the setup ends up being, which is pretty crazy. And like I said, really the most unique weapon, a true meta weapon and meta competitor that's using sometimes one attachment, sometimes 3 attachments, and that's what it's limited to. So very bizarre, but also performing better than it should be right now. So if you're looking to sort of use and abuse this, shotguns really don't stand much chance in the meta, and they're never really around for too long. Be sure to jump in game and try this out while it lasts. But that being said, that's gonna wrap things up for this video. If you enjoyed, do me a favor, drop a like on it. And if you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out to guarantee you're always up to date with everything going on in COD. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.